Close your eyes for just a moment. You are standing at the first human grave on Mars, and the man buried beneath that red alien soil is Elon Musk, a man who didn't just dream about this world from behind a desk in California. He built it. He funded it. He argued for it at a time when the entire world thought he was either a visionary or completely out of his mind, and most people genuinely couldn't decide which. He sent robots here years before any human foot ever touched this surface. He grew food in pressurized greenhouse domes on a planet where the average temperature drops 60 degrees below zero at night. He designed the ships, absorbed the failures, and kept going with a patience that seemed almost impossible for one human being to maintain. And when his time finally came, when the last breath left his body quietly in the early hours of the 14th of March 2070, his final wish was not a monument in a city or a foundation endowed with billions. It was this ridge, this view, this red and ancient and impossible soil. This is the story of Elon Reeve Musk, born the 28th of June 1971 in Pretoria, South Africa. The man who refused to accept that one planet was enough for the human species, and the man who, in death, made the most extraordinary journey any human being has ever taken. To understand why Elon Musk chose Mars as his final resting place, why he chose it over every comfort and familiarity that Earth could have offered him, you have to understand the kind of mind he had been carrying since childhood. He was not born into aerospace. He was not handed a golden path into the stars by powerful institutions or wealthy families. He was a strange, intensely bookish kid from South Africa who taught himself computer programming at the age of 10, who read science fiction novels like they were instruction manuals for a future the world hadn't built yet, and who moved to North America as a teenager with almost nothing in his pocket and a burning, almost uncomfortable certainty that the world as it existed was simply not ambitious enough. He made money in his 20s, building internet companies. He sold them, and then, at the precise moment when most rational people would have retired comfortably and lived beautifully, he took nearly all of that money and poured it into two companies that serious investors considered financial suicide. The first was Tesla, an electric car company launched at a time when the automobile industry was a fortress defended by 100-year-old giants who had no interest in being disrupted. The second was SpaceX, a private rocket company founded in 2002 by engineers willing to work punishing hours for the chance to do something that had previously only been achieved by the space programs of global superpowers. The early years of SpaceX were brutal in every sense of the word. 3 rockets failed. The company hovered near bankruptcy. Elon later admitted in interviews that he was borrowing money from friends to cover his own expenses during those dark years. But the 4th rocket launched on the 28th of September 2008. It reached orbit, and after that, the world started paying a very different kind of attention. Through the 2010s and 2020s, SpaceX achieved what the aerospace establishment had called either decades away or physically impossible. Rockets that landed themselves back on ocean platforms. A fully reusable spacecraft, the Starship that reduced the cost of putting mass into orbit so dramatically that it made the old space economy look medieval by comparison. Neuralink, the neurotechnology company Elon co-founded, was quietly doing something equally radical, helping paralyzed patients regain movement, helping people with degenerative neurological conditions maintain cognitive function into old age, and developing the neural archiving technology that would, in Elon's final years, produce something the world had never seen before. And then in 2031, an uncrewed SpaceX mission landed on Mars for the first time, delivering the first wave of autonomous construction robots to the Hellas Planitia Basin, a vast, ancient impact crater chosen for its flat terrain and relatively stable atmospheric conditions. Those robots didn't wait for humans to arrive and give instructions. They started building, because that was precisely how Elon thought. You don't wait for conditions to be perfect. You build the conditions yourself. What happened next on Mars was unlike anything human civilization had ever attempted. Beginning in 2031 and accelerating through the 2030s and into the 2040s, a fleet of 847 autonomous construction robots programmed with artificial intelligence systems refined over 2 decades drawing heavily on engineering frameworks that Elon had championed throughout his career, began the systematic work of making Mars livable for human beings. They bored into Martian rock to create underground pressure chambers. They assembled geodesic greenhouse domes from prefabricated components delivered by successive Starship missions, each one arriving like a freight train of civilization, carrying seeds, nutrient substrates, water extraction equipment, and the carefully engineered bacterial cultures needed to begin converting Martian soil into something capable of sustaining plant life. The greenhouse network, which SpaceX engineers nicknamed the Eden Network, a name that stuck, grew from a single pressurized dome in 2033 to a sprawling, interconnected system of 23 complexes by 2052. Each dome was roughly the size of 4 football fields, each one a sealed, pressurized world of green standing inside a cold, red desert. Inside those domes, hydroponic towers carried leafy greens and herbs in vertical columns that maximized yield per square foot of pressurized space. Modified wheat strains developed specifically for Martian light conditions grew in wide trays under calibrated artificial lighting. Tomatoes, which became something of an unofficial symbol of the colony's growing confidence and permanence, hung in thick clusters from ceiling-mounted vine systems. Algae engineered for maximum oxygen output covered entire interior walls in bioluminescent blue-green sheets, serving at once as oxygen generators and as a protein source for the colonists. Water came from beneath the surface, vast deposits of ice tapped by robotic drilling systems, melted, filtered, and distributed through pipe networks buried in the Martian regolith to protect them from the brutal temperature swings of the Martian day-night cycle. By 2052, Musk Base Alpha had a permanent human population of 1,200 people. They had pressurized living quarters, schools, medical facilities, and communal spaces designed with deliberate attention to psychological comfort because Elon had insisted, repeatedly, that the mental health of colonists was every bit as critical a variable as their physical survival. And they had because Elon had demanded it personally in a SpaceX board meeting that became mildly legendary inside the company, a functioning coffee shop with real espresso machines. When he made his final personal visit to Mars in 2052, at 81 years old, moving carefully with his cane across the observation deck of Dome 7, looking out through the thick curved glass at the rust-red landscape, at the enormous dark shadow of Olympus Mons rising on the distant horizon, at Phobos and Deimos drifting silently across the afternoon sky, he turned to his chief engineer and said 4 words that have since been quoted 10,000 times. He said, "We actually did it." He stood there for a very long time after that. No one spoke. No one felt the need to. In the final 2 years of his life, Elon Musk worked on something he privately called his final documentation. It was not a memoir, though many people had asked him to write one. It was not a recorded speech for posterity. What it was built in close collaboration with Neuralink's research teams, using technology the company had spent 30 years developing, was a comprehensive neural archive of his own cognitive patterns, decision-making frameworks, problem-solving approaches, and significant memories, all compressed and digitized into the most detailed human cognitive dataset ever assembled. He was careful about how he described this to the world. He rejected the idea of calling it uploading his consciousness, a concept he considered both scientifically premature and philosophically imprecise. He described it, in one of his final recorded interviews, simply as a map of how he thought so that future engineers and scientists would have access not just to what he had built, but to something closer to how he had approached the building. That archive, which became the Musk Cognitive Legacy Archive following his death, is today credited with contributing to over 400 major breakthroughs in engineering, medicine, and energy science. But there was another conversation happening during those final months, quieter, more personal, and more extraordinary in its implications than any archive. On the 9th of January 2070, Elon Musk, 98 years old, frail in body but precise and unhesitating in mind, called a private meeting with the SpaceX board, his family, and the elected council of Musk Base Alpha, connected live via HoloLink from across 140 million miles of space. His request was simple to state. He wanted to be buried on Mars. not his ashes. Not a symbolic marker placed in his honor, his body. He wanted to be the first human being interred beneath Martian soil. He had already chosen the site, the ridge east of Dome 7, overlooking the greenhouse, with the clear view of Olympus Mons and the Martian sky above. He had sketched it by hand. And in typical Musk fashion, with the dry humor that had never left him even at 98, he had already written his preferred grave epitaph. The first graveyard on Mars to have one resident who actually earned the real estate. The legal challenges that followed were unprecedented in the history of international law. No framework existed for transporting a human body across interplanetary space. No mortuary protocol covered another planet. The United Nations Interplanetary Governance Council, the SpaceX Legal Division, the Mars Colony Charter Authority, and the governments of 6 nations all had to be brought into alignment quickly because Elon's doctors had made it quietly clear that time was not something anyone should be treating as abundant. They wrote the legislation in 90 days. Legal scholars later noted it was the fastest any entirely new area of interplanetary law had ever been codified. Elon Reeve Musk died on the 14th of March 2070 at 6:14 inches the morning, Pacific time. He was 99 years old. He died peacefully, in his sleep, surrounded by his family, in a room with a view of the ocean. Within 6 hours, every screen on Earth carried the news. Governments issued formal statements. Markets paused their trading. The population of Musk Base Alpha, 1,400 people by then, held a 10-minute silent vigil inside Dome 3, their breath fogging softly in the pressurized air. The red dust of Mars drifting silently past the dome windows outside. The ship that carried Elon Musk to his final destination was named the SS Sagan, a deeply considered tribute to Carl Sagan, the astronomer and writer who had first made the cosmos feel truly accessible to ordinary human beings, and who had been one of Elon's most formative childhood influences. The SS Sagan was not a cargo vessel. It was purpose-built, fitted with the most sophisticated biological preservation systems ever designed for deep space travel. The titanium casket that held his body had been designed by a team of structural engineers, architects, and 2 of his own children. It was polished to a mirror finish and inlaid with patterns of Martian iron oxide in clean geometric forms, red from the planet that had been waiting for him. On its lid, in precise, unhurried lettering, were the words he had chosen himself. The stars were always the point. The casket was loaded aboard the SS Sagan on the 3rd of April, 2070, 20 days after his death. The launch from SpaceX's facility in Boca Chica, Texas, was broadcast live to 4.2 billion people, the most watched single event in recorded human history. As the Starship cleared the atmosphere and began its journey into the cold and absolute dark of interplanetary space, people in cities on every continent stepped outside their homes, their offices, their schools, and their restaurants. They looked up at the sky, not because they could see the ship, it was already beyond visible range within minutes, but because looking up was the only thing that felt right. The journey across space took 7 months, 7 months of silence and darkness, with only the automated systems of the SS Sagan maintaining course and environment, making sure the man inside arrived whole and intact at the world that had been waiting for him for nearly 7 decades. On the 11th of November 2070, the SS Sagan entered Martian orbit. The colony below went quiet. The landing was flawless because SpaceX had been landing on Mars for nearly 40 years by then, and because some arrivals are simply too important to allow any other outcome. A procession of 6 people carried the casket across the Martian surface, 3 SpaceX engineers in white pressure suits, 2 members of the Mars Colony Council, and one of his children moving slowly and deliberately across the red ground toward the ridge east of Dome 7. There was no sound. The thin Martian atmosphere carried nothing. The cameras recorded every footstep, every grain of red dust displaced by their boots. Every moment of an event the entire solar system was watching in silence. The grave had been prepared by robots, the same autonomous machines that Elon had commissioned decades ago to build the greenhouses, the habitats, the water lines, and the entire breathing infrastructure of a world that had never known civilization before. His machines dug his grave. It felt to everyone present, and to every person watching from Earth and from the colony domes profoundly right. The casket was lowered into Martian soil as Olympus Mons caught the last of the afternoon light on the distant horizon, and Phobos moved silently through the amber sky overhead. A marker of local Martian basalt was placed at the head of the grave. No gold, no monument, nothing scaled to impress. Just the name, the dates, and the one word he had chosen: first. Today, Musk Base Alpha is home to more than 2,000 people. The Eden Network spans 31 greenhouse complexes. Children born on Mars play in habitat corridors and study Earth geography the way children on Earth once studied countries they had never visited. The Cognitive Legacy Archive shapes breakthroughs every year. And at the ridge east of Dome 7, where the greenhouse domes glow green against the darkening Martian evening, and Olympus Mons stands eternal on the horizon, people go. Colonists, engineers, visitors, and children who have never set foot on Earth. They stand at the grave in their pressure suits. They look at the mountains. They look up at the sky, where one star burns a little bluer than the rest. And sometimes, when the light is right, and Phobos is rising and the dust is completely still, they understand, without needing any words at all, why a man looked at every planet in this solar system and said, "That one, I want that one too." Elon Musk, the 28th of June, 1971, the 14th of March, 2070, founder of SpaceX, founder of Tesla, founder of Neuralink, the first human being buried beyond Earth. Rest in peace, 140 million miles from where you were born, and exactly where you always belonged.